you are a creative person, you're an entertainer, but business has been at the heart, with the care home, with mum.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
then tell me a bit about the Georgian, because obviously this is all about Alderney, and the island really thrives off the restaurants and the pubs. And I believe back then when you came here, there was, I think Dougal said to me the other day, there must have been about 21 pubs at one point.
Mm,
And so
yeah,
everyone had their own little local watering
yeah,
holes.
that's right. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
How did you come about, purchasing the Georgian, and I guess, I mean, turning it into what it is today?
Well, way back in the old days, a great couple, Drew and Sybil McQueen, ran the Albert. And the Albert pub was the what is now the little studio just opposite the gates of the church, and that was just a great pub. And in my early days here, I would be singing either in the shares, mainly in the grand, because Ray and I had that
An
relationship,
agreement.
an agreement that I do all the singing, along with a great guy called Philip, who was a pianist, and he and I would play in this many silly stories. But how the Georgian came about was that we were in the Albert for years and years and years, and that was where all the us guys all drank and everything else. And then Drew and Sybil decided they would move to Spain. And they moved to Spain, and then the whole ethos of the Albert just was lost. There was new people came in, but it was never the same. And in those days, the Georgian, which was down the street, and was the very old Georgian, and was fondly known as the morgue because
Oh
it
my
was
God,
full of
Jesus.
dead drinkers. And we all said, "Oh, shall we go down to the morgue?" And yeah, oh, I suppose, yeah. So as it happened, just at that time, Liz and Steve Hope appeared on the island, and they had just bought it, um, along with Liz's father, who'd had it before. And suddenly it all changed, and that then became the pub. So everybody emigrated from the Albert down to the to the old Georgian. And again, we used to have sing songs in there, piano players. We had all manner of music. There's always been music, and Liz and Stephen ran a very good operation. And then they wanted to retire, and of course, uh, towards that time, he's known as the Man in Black, had made an offer on the George, and he'd bought this guy, had bought a lot of other places on the island, and he'd done a deal with Liz and Stephen, and this guy who a lot of people, with a lot of controversy at the time, and he was coming back that weekend, having gone to the UK to sign it up, but sadly he was killed. So they never sold the pub to him. Um, but they went on for another year or so, I think, and then they sold it to someone else. And that someone else decided they couldn't run it for very long. And if I remember rightly, from the September when these people had bought it, decided to stop. It is now the February, and it's just all sitting there. And Clive and I, with maybe one or two more many sherbets, decided, why don't we get a consortium together and we'll buy it? So I produced
So this is for anyone listening. This is
yeah,
the original brochure
this was
for. Let me hold this up.
yeah,
So this is the original brochure for. I mean, this is beautiful, Dad, as well. Like very nicely made. I can kind of tell that this is the old school. What's it like? I mean, I remember when computers first
yeah, well,
gave you the
yes, yeah,
ability to
yeah,
do
yeah,
this
that's all right.
stuff.
And
So
of
you could
course,
choose any color in the world, any font in the world.
yeah, and so the idea was that we were going to get about 20
Couple of
guys,
mates, everyone chip in some money.
yeah, chip in some money, and then as the days went on and we're getting nearer and nearer, seriously buying this place, everybody dropped out one by one. No, he's gone, he's gone. No, well, I didn't, and all this. And in the end, it was just Clive and I standing, and I ended up being shown round the place. And when you've been drinking in a pub, but you've never seen the bowels of it. And I was with Andrew Montgomery, and I said, Andrew, if you could just leave me and let me nose into every piece. And it's now February, and the place has been shut since September before, and it's damp. And it was like the Mary Celeste. Every table had just been left, right? And there's cracks everywhere. And all the rooms were dank and terrible state. And there's just me. Clive happened to be in England at the time, so I phoned Clive up, and he said, "Well, what do you think, mate? You know, are we going to go ahead with this?" I said, "Clive, this place is a dump. It's just dreadful. I don't know." He said, "Well, look, you're there and I'm here. You know, you're the only one looking at it." And I said, "But I've got a vision. I have a vision." And he said, "Well," let's come on, make a decision." I said, "Right, we're going for it."
Wow.
We did.
And you
We
guys
did.
have been great partners as well. I mean, because
Oh, yeah,
Clive has a
yeah.
great business background,
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah,
you
yeah,
are a
yeah,
visionary.
yeah.
The vision, it was a big vision, Dad. I
Oh,
mean,
yeah,
before
yeah.
the orangery wasn't there,
Oh, no, no,
the
no,
garden
no,
was
no.
in a complete different. Even the bar was on the other
Yeah,
side
yeah.
as you walked
Oh,
in. It
yeah,
was on the
yeah, yeah,
right.
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
my TV room, which I used to
Yep,
get
yeah.
left in as a kid, I used to love that TV
I
room. Just watch
know,
the same
yeah,
20 movies
I
again and
know,
again.
yeah, yeah.
Because I mean, in this brochure, you can see the original plans for the Orangery, which for anyone that's not been there, it's the amazing sort of restaurant part, the most bright room ever. I mean, Dad, this is insane. Like, you know,
Well, and again, because of the music, the Orangery was going to become the music room, and it was all acoustically soundproofed with acoustic wallpaper, acoustic windows, acoustic ceilings, all that sort of stuff. And we had endless, and still do to this day, have endless concerts. We've got one coming up in June with Tom Bliss and myself, and a few other people. So to me, the idea was it had to facilitate all the types of functions, particularly weddings, music concerts, just whatever the need was, we had to do it. But in order to build the orangery, I came away 2 meters away from the old building because the old Georgian was in a dreadful state, and the budget doubled and the time doubled. So, and it was a good job Clive and I had other interests, and you certainly couldn't make a living out of
mm,
it, that's for sure.
because I mean,
But
the entrance to the Orangery now, where the staff office is, that was the fire escape, right?
yes, yeah, yeah, yeah,
And instead of that being a fire escape
yeah,
now, you've decided to put a massive orangery there.
yes, yeah,
That
yeah,
kind of construction is
yeah,
just
yeah,
ginormous. I
I
mean,
know.
you must
Oh,
have had
geez.
diggers and builders
Well,
and
strangely enough, there's no access to the back of the Georgian, and the only way we could get a digger was to build some scaffolding and take a little digger down the side of the Georgian and into the back garden, and we scooped everything out with a little mini digger. And the only mini digger is only about 30 inches wide, you know. But that was the only thing you could get. And dear old Ian Tugby, bless him, he was a key part of it. But and we had all our ups and downs doing that. Believe me.
yeah, I can imagine. I mean, I must have been very young at the time.
Yeah.
Do you remember what year this was?
Well, we bought it in '99. We closed. We operated for 1 year, closed it, and then reopened in 2000, October 2001.
So I was
So
about 9, 10
yeah,
years old at the time.
and every step was videoed. So I've still got the whole history
You've got the whole
of
thing.
of how it all came about,
Wow.
and the grand opening and
I
all
mean,
that sort of
we're
thing.
very lucky because you know on Alderney we've got amazing food and beverage
We
stuff.
have. I mean, in the very early days, we then had tenants. Liz and Stephen ran it for the first 2 or 3 years, which was very successful. Then we brought tenants in, and that didn't really work. And I have to say, the salvation came when dear Holly come along, Holly Fisher, and she too had a vision.